Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's open forum. I hope everybody is doing great this morning. Today, we're going to talk about vacant land. We are seeing quite a few vacant land deals lately, and I'm loving that. That is one thing that continues to move a little bit, which is very nice. You guys have asked a lot of questions about this, and I wanted to cover a lot of these questions that you guys have and questions that might come up for you guys. So we're doing vacant land comes all across the board. I have some of you guys asking about commercial vacant land. I have obviously a lot more of the residential, let's find a builder and build a house. Some of them are on 10 acres out in the country, and some of them are infill lots that have neighbors next to them. So there are all different answers for all different kinds of questions. What you should do, what do your buyers need to do, what is your role in all of that? How does the contract work? What kind of time do we need to do things? We get all kinds of questions. If you guys would like to start with some questions now, I am going to go over I'm going to go over some of the forms, but I think mostly the contract, because the listing agreement's pretty self-explanatory. But I'm going to go over the contract to kind of go through the process of a residential lot purchase, meaning one lot for Mr. Mrs. Buyer or whomever to build a house on. I think that's probably what we see the most of. If you guys have any questions on other things, please pipe in anytime you want. It's an open forum. Feel free to ask any questions that you might have. So let's go through the contract. As I say that, I have a listing agreement up. Let me get rid of that and go through the contract and find what we can do for purchasing these, because I get a lot of questions on does this contract look okay, etc. Just so you guys know, when you send me something to review, I need to know what you're trying to get accomplished. You can send me a contract that looks fine, but I want to know what you're trying to get accomplished. So I need the backstory also when you send me something to review. So feel free to write that in your email when you send it to me, or with a phone call or whatever is fine. So here we go. Let me share this with you guys. Do you guys have any questions or any examples that you'd like me to start with? Because it's probably just as easy to do it with an example, something you have going on right now, something you have going on recently, something you have question about in the future. All right. If not, I'm just going to go on. Okay, vacant land contract. Let me blow this up a little bit for you guys. There we go. All right, I just pulled this off the transaction desk. It's fillable, obviously. Sale and purchase, you got the seller and the buyer, address, legal description, all of those things. Purchase price. Do you guys need a buyer brokerage agreement if you're just showing lots? Anybody know that? They just want to buy vacant land. Do you need a buyer brokerage agreement or showing agreement?
I would say yes.
You would be right, Juan. You do. Anything that's on MLS. So, and even if you think you might show them something on MLS, you might not show them something, whatever. Just get a buyer brokerage agreement signed, and then you can do or showing agreement signed, and you can do whatever. What if you? What do you guys do? Let's say you have. I'm going to go off topic here, and you have a new build. They want to see new homes. You're not sure if they're going to be on MLS or not. You haven't seen this one on MLS, whatever. Should you get a buyer brokerage agreement?
Yes.
Yes, always. Always get a buyer brokerage agreement if you don't know if you'll be showing them something that's on MLS. Some builders are on MLS. Some builders have certain lots and certain models that are on MLS, and other ones are not. They have inventory homes they're been trying to sell on MLS, or they're just selling the idea of a home and they don't even have a lot number for it on MLS. Or you'll get there, they have an address or a lot number, and you get there and it's, oh, that one's been gone for 3 months and we got another one, right? So just get it covered. Lots of builders now, for those of you who don't know, haven't been through this, are asking to see your buyer brokerage agreement. Why are they doing that? Is it their right to do that? No. Should you show it to them anyway? Probably, especially if it's at 3% or whatever. A lot of them want to see if they can get out of paying you commission because you don't have one, or if you have one that says 2%, and they'll just say, oh, well, we were going to give you 3% plus $5,000, but you can only take 2%. So what do you do in that case? And some of you guys have done this recently, is get your agreement modified, modification to the buyer brokerage agreement, and get the and get your buyers to agree to let you get that. Somebody did it for $10,000. So great job. And the buyer signed off on it. So that's what you have to do if they're offering you a bonus or something like that. I thought that we would see bonuses kind of go away, but they're still out there. I think they're just trying to attract you with that and then trying to get you to not get one because your buyer won't sign on to that or whatever, or you don't have it signed already. So anyway, off topic. I'm sorry, I digress. Let's get back to vacant land. But yes, you do need a buyer's brokerage agreement if it's on MLS. Anything that's on MLS, you need a buyer's brokerage agreement. Okay. Here's your price, escrow agent thing, all that stuff is typically, very normal, just like it would be in a residential purchase. Okay, land can sometimes be done. They're not sure of it, particularly with larger lots. Those of you who sell, I see Jay's in here. He sells development land. They'll say, oh, it's 98 acres. Depending on where it is in the process, and this is more of a development thing that we can get into maybe a little bit if somebody has specific questions. But so let's say you guys see all these subdivisions that people are building. At one point that was 58 acres or 122 acres or 1,000 acres or something at some point when someone sold it. What they do is they sell it and they say it's 98.4 acres according to the property appraiser. Then when they actually get the survey, it's only 95 acres or it's 102 acres or whatever. So they'll do it per acre or a per unit cost. And a per unit would be if they have something permitted already. They have 58 acres, but it's permitted for 142 units. Then they'll sell it based on 142 units. So then when they get down to everything, so they'll make it the closing contingent. Later on, we'll talk about the due diligence or feasibility study. They'll make it contingent on 142, getting 142 units. And then they only get, by the time that they get through the county and all the permitting and all that stuff, they only get 130 units. They're going to want to pay less for it. So what they'll do here, this is common in if builders are buying development land or something like that, then they will do it on a per lot price. Okay. In case they get shorted units, then it comes off of their price. Or otherwise, they'll have to renegotiate anyway. So a lot of times we'll pay, $100,000 a lot. So that's what it'll be. But that's what that is for. Or sometimes it's an acre because the survey comes out a lot different than whatever. And sometimes it'll be on a usable acre because the seller will represent their land to be all high and dry. And then they find out some of it's on muck or it's below the floodplain. They can't build on it for whatever reason, or they'll have to use a certain amount for open space or something like that they didn't plan on above and beyond. So that happens. I don't want to muddy that for what we're talking about right now, which is one residential lot, but that happens too on residential lots. You can make it contingent on it being, somebody can have an acre and a half, but it's on a lake or something, and it's only half an acre they say is usable. And it turns out that it's only 0.3 of an acre that's usable, and you have to build your house on this little corner of the lot, and it doesn't have a great view of the lake or whatever. So you want to make it contingent on that, but that's all part of your feasibility study too. But we'll get into that in a second. Time for acceptance, closing date, just like a normal contract. Buyer will pay cash. Obviously, in residential lots, there's a lot more cash because it's usually, $60,000 or $100,000. Sometimes it's $20,000, or it can be $500,000. It can be any amount, but a lot of times it's cash because they have to build a house anyway. So they got to put a certain amount of money down anyway. They might as well just buy the land cash. But sometimes it's with a lot. You guys have done lot loans and stuff like that. There are some lenders who do lot loans and some don't. A lot don't. So there you go. New financing, seller financing. Typically it's gonna be new financing. And that's where all of this goes. Your typical thing like you would in the other contract. Assignability, same as normal. A special warranty deed is what is used here. That will be your default, but special warranty deed. Guys, you don't have to ask me questions on all of this stuff. If you get that, you can just Google that and it'll tell you that that's what people do now, is a special warranty deed. Statutory warranty deed just says you get my part in it, pretty much almost like a quick claim. I'm not a lawyer, but you don't want a statutory warranty deed. You want a special warranty deed. Title Same as always. It's never an abstract of title. It's always this first one, title insurance commitment. Okay. It's never an abstract of title. Title exam, survey, property condition, due diligence period. Due diligence period. Buyers will, at buyer's expense and within blank days. 30 days is, and we can get further into this based on what it is. If I am buying a lot with a house on each side of it, it's what we call a fill-in, infill lot between two houses that are already built. It's obviously high and dry. They were perfectly fine to build next door. The houses look fine. They're doing great. 30 days is fine. Okay. That just because obviously it's a buildable lot, etc. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to get out there and see where we can build on it. We're going to have our builder look at it and make sure he thinks it's okay. But 30 days should be fine for that. If he needs to get soil borings because maybe it looks a little low, a little wet, a little damp, a little anything like that, how the floodplain looks, how all that stuff. 30 days should be fine. We'll go to the city or the county, whatever jurisdiction it's in, and make sure we can build what we want to build on it within 30 days. That's not a problem. Okay. If it is out in there's no houses on either side of it. Maybe it's near a lake. Even if there's houses on each side of it, but it's near a lake, it's near a pond, it's near something like that. We might want some more time to look at it. Okay. That's when you get a builder out there, and a builder will know. Even get 3 builders out there to give estimates, whatever, if they don't have a builder yet. We want them to do this, guys. You're going to direct them and guide them, but you are not going to be responsible for their feasibility study. Okay. They're going to make sure that they can build what they want to build on this lot during this time. That is their job to do. Okay. And they will use builders' help for that typically also. So have some builders in your pocket. Do not call me and ask me about, do you know any builders? They work in certain areas. They do certain price ranges, etc. You're going to have to find them. Okay. If you want to ask me, have you heard of so-and-so builder? Do they do a good job? I hate to even put my name on that because just like anybody else, they have good reviews and bad reviews. You can check their reviews. You can check all that stuff on them. But the last thing you want to do, also be very careful about that with your buyers. And this is not a liability thing. Like I tell you guys for inspectors, where you give them 3 and tell them they can choose anybody else too. Google some more if you want. You choose who you want, because we don't want to look like we're in cahoots with the inspector. Builders, a little bit of the same thing, but mostly you just want the buyer to be satisfied. And so you can do future business with them. You just want customer satisfaction. It is not a, make sure you're muted, please. It is not a liability thing as much. So that is that. So what you're going to read here is to determine, it says the buyer deems necessary to determine buyer satisfaction with the property's engineering, architectural, and environmental properties, zoning and zoning restrictions, consistency with state, local, and regional growth management plans, availability of permits, governmental approvals. This is a pretty good guide right here, guys, of the things that you might need. Obviously, when I say there's houses on each side, obviously it's zoned the right way. The environmental shouldn't be a problem. Engineering and architectural, you may have some engineering things. If their water is running off onto your lot, you can't make yours run off onto their lot either. So you want to make sure, now they should have been engineered and done properly where their water is not coming onto your lot. But you can't just build your lot up higher and make all your water run off onto their houses either. So the engineering does need to be, it should be fine already if it's in a neighborhood that was designed and permitted. It should be, they had to take care of all that stuff. That is, there are, inspections and government regulations on all that stuff to make sure that that's not the case. That their water shouldn't be running off onto your lot already. But if it does, they'll make swales in between the properties. They'll make all that stuff, but it has to be engineered properly. What this says, it says for any reason whatsoever, if something doesn't work out during this due diligence period, the buyer wants to back out. It's just like an as-is inspection period. It's at their own, something else can happen to them too. They say, oh, we thought we were going to sell our house in Virginia and it's not selling, so we're backing out of this deal. Whatever it is, they can back out. It's a due diligence period, just like an inspection period. There is no, they don't have to present their studies back to the seller, et cetera. They do repair and damages of property before conducted. Release the seller for all reports and other work generated as a result of the inspections if they back out. Okay, but if they didn't do any, they don't have to give any. Okay. If they decide to back, if they liked it, whatever, then they had to back out because their other house didn't sell or for what other reason, grandma died or whatever happened, they can still back out, but they do have to turn over their work. Before the expiration due diligence period, buyer must deliver written notice to seller of buyer's determination whether or not the property is acceptable. Buyer's failure to comply with this notice requirement will constitute acceptance of the property as suitable for buyer's intended use in its as-is condition. Properties, that means what that means is their deposit is gone. They can't back out for anything unless their financing somehow runs over that and they get denied for that during their financing approval period. If the property is unaccepted by a written notice of fact is timely delivered to seller, this contract will be deemed terminated and buyer's deposit bill will be returned. But they also have to hand over all the reports that says, look, this place is a swamp. We can't build on it. It's going to cost an extra $75,000 to mitigate this property, which we've talked about before. That's when you buy other property, put conservation easement over it and then you can fill in this property. When I say fill in, if it's low, you can put dirt on it. But you've bought other property somewhere else in a mitigation bank that will forever not be developed. So you're mitigating your environmental impact. Or no due diligence period, and that is if you are absolutely positive that this is, maybe you've had this property under contract before and you're sure that it works perfectly and you just couldn't get your financing together last time. So this time you're going to close in 10 days. So you could do a no due diligence period. It's been done before, but don't do it. Do not ask your people to do that. It's insane. Seller costs, buyer's costs, prorations. This is just like regular contract after that. Do you guys have any questions on any of that stuff? I'm sure that you do. This is important, this paragraph, by the way. Paragraph 19 is broker advises seller and buyer to verify all facts and representations that are important to them and to consult an appropriate professional for legal advice. It says here that they will not hold us responsible if anything didn't work out or if someone else took advantage of them, and they are to seller and buyer each assume full responsibility, the last sentence, for selecting and compensating their respective vendors. The paragraph will not leave broker. This paragraph will not relieve broker of statutory obligations. Broker will be treated as a party to this contract. This paragraph will survive closing. So if you do something wrong, they still can hold you. You still hold you liable. But if you're just recommending people and stuff, buyer and seller hold harmless and release broker's officers, directors, agents, and employees from all liability or loss to image based on obviously anybody else's negligence. We're not responsible for. Which is what I was mentioning earlier. When you recommend people to them, do not direct them to people, especially if they have some sort of financial or any kind of relationship with you. If it's your fiance or your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or anybody else that you direct them to their business, just be very, very careful with that. Really don't do it. Are there any questions on any of this? Don't be shy, please.
Can you repeat that, please?
You want me to start over? Okay, guys. So
I just got here. That was a joke.
Start over. This is recorded and it is going to be on your YouTube in a couple of days. Thank you for that question, Daryl. Any questions on any of this stuff?
I just had a question. Have you ever had a situation where the lot does not have an address yet?
All the time. All the time.
Okay.
So lots of lots, and you'll see them a lot of times. People list them as 0 Oak Street or something like that. They'll list them as 0. If you're listing one, just put a 0 on it. That makes it obvious that there's no address. But yes, lots of new builds don't have addresses yet. Or you guys have seen this quite a time. They have to do an addendum to contract because they changed the address. So yes, a lot of times lot is platted, but it hasn't been given an address by the government, by the post office, by whomever. Okay. That happens.
Is that the buyer's responsibility at that time to?
No, it's a government's responsibility.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, they get one when they get one. You don't rush it. Nothing you can do about it.
So as long as you have the legal description.
Yes. So the property's
or the-
real. The real thing about a property, just so
Mhm.
you know, the thing that makes it yours, the thing that gives you ownership, is the
Okay.
legal description, that you own the legal description. Section,
Okay.
township, and range of whatever county in Florida. This property ID is given by the property appraiser. That is not as important as the actual legal description. That's where it
Okay.
goes. The 1/4 of the this, of the quarter of the that, of the this, all that stuff of the section, township, and range of Orange, Hillsborough County, Florida, whatever it is. But that is that's what's important. That has to be right. And a lot of times this is just, if it's, the easy ones are lot 38 of, Errol Estates in Apopka, Florida, whatever it is. That sometimes it's just 8 or 10 words, because there is another legal description recorded that has platted Errol Estates, let's say, that's platted all out in the county. So it'll just say lot 42 of Errol Estates. All right.
Okay.
Ryan, would you go with the legal description on the deed or on the appraiser's of a website?
The deed is the most important thing.
Deed. And sometimes you end up purchasing, let's say, 3 or 4 or even more lots at the same time. Would you just do it in additional, or would you say legal description C Appendix A type of thing and then list them all there?
Okay. That's a great question. If it's lot 4, 5, 7, and 9 of Errol Estates, then you'll just put that in the legal description right here. And you can do it right here. If it's if they're long legal descriptions, maybe it's out in the country, it's not platted yet, or it's platted differently, it's just out in the country, you will go.
I'm talking about completely different plots, different in the same county. You have like in different, normally when I use the other contract, I just name each lot and do like a bulk purchase. Right. In this type of contract, is there a way to do it?
Yeah. So so if I have lots of legals, I will put in this paragraph right here where it says legal description. Well, you can't see what I'm pointing at.
I get it. It's right there.
I'll put in this legal description right here. I will put C attached, and I'll do them on a separate sheet. Okay. You can also do separate contracts if you need to, separate contracts, and make them all in the additional terms. This contract is contingent on the closing of these other 3 contracts, these other 3 properties. And if it's a lot of legals, put C addendum, and then you put those other 3 properties on the other thing. Okay, so let's say we're selling 4 lots. We have to do separate contracts. Maybe they're even owned by different people. So a lot of times when we're putting a development deal together, it'll be owned, we're buying 100 acres, but it's somebody owns 20, somebody owns 40, somebody, whatever, right? And we've got 4 different sellers. Or Uncle Bob is we inherited this property. Uncle Bob is on these 2 properties, but he's not on those 2, whatever. So we have to write separate contracts for those, and we'll make them contingent on the other ones closing. Okay. And a lot of times it's some of the same owners and stuff, and they're all working together and they're all going to close. But we'll make it contingent on the other ones, because these 2 lots don't make sense if we don't have the one between them that puts them together. I don't have access maybe, or whatever. Right. So we'll make them all contingent on them all closing at the same time. Okay. Does that answer your question? Okay. Jay, you're up.
I will recommend this. I've recently had a property that fell out of contract because the county, since the hurricanes last year, the county is changing some of the water height line and some of the different things. So just because a property has maybe lakefront and it is has houses on either side, those are already grandfathered in. I would definitely do surveys and find out if there's any new county restrictions on land.
Absolutely. Anything that's lakefront or pond front or anything that might have water, I would definitely do that.
These were retention ponds.
Yep. So we had an agent last year who was selling maybe it's his own house, and I've mentioned this to you guys before. The neighbors were draining onto his property. One of them had a pump in their backyard to get it out of there, and that pump wasn't functioning, and his house got flooded when he was trying to sell it. And that is a mess. But those are the kind of things that you want to look out for. And absolutely anything that's got water near it, you need to get checked out for sure. They have what's called a 100-year floodplain, and that means the worst flood in 100 years this is where the water would come up to, and it may look completely high and dry all the time. You look at a piece of property and think that never gets wet, and it's in the 100-year floodplain. And what happened last year actually exceeded some of the 100-year floodplain lines. So it was some areas was more than they would ever expect in 100 years was last year during this hurricane. I mean, how often do you get 3 in a row in the same spot? And I guess we can say back in 2004, but those weren't as wet. Any other questions on that?
I don't know, Ryan, if this is the right time, but since we're talking about inspections, one thing that I notice a lot, and everybody probably knows in Florida, the gopher tortoise that has gotten a big hit. So I recommend everybody to always do a little bit of due diligence there. I didn't used to do it before until it cost me $5,000. And now I do inspections, even if it's a small quarter-acre lot, and it's worth a $300 inspection type of thing. So just a thought.
It is, and that's called a bugs and bunnies report. If you contact an environmental engineer, they'll say we're going to do a bugs and bunnies. That means they go out there and make sure there's no protected species. Gopher tortoises they seem of little value, but they create habitats for all kinds of other creatures, mostly snakes. And then, who cares about snakes? Well, snakes control the rat population, and snakes control this and that. It's all the one big ecosystem, as you know. So they have determined that gopher tortoises are important to this, and they are not great at defending themselves. They are slow, and they have a shell, but that doesn't really help them for much. So they are very protected, and they are everywhere in Florida. Every time you guys see a hole with a mound of dirt, you drive down the highway and you'll see vacant land. You'll see a bunch of mounds of dirt on it. Those are typically gopher tortoise holes, and they are protected. Scrub jays are protected birds. There's all kinds of different things, and don't even go near an eagle. Eagle gets on your property, they own you. Tammy.
I think I heard sand skinks or something is endangered.
Another one. Yep.
I had a girl that bought a house over, I don't know, San Bastion or somewhere. And she was having it built by a builder, and we got delayed because the tortoises showed up on the property. So we were delayed probably like 3 months till they took care of those tortoises. So it does happen.
And by the way, guys, took care of the tortoises. Can be moving them. I don't know if they do anymore, but you could pay to kill them before. You pay a fee for everyone that you want dead, but they used to just move them. Literally would come out, and they would dig them up with backhoes. They would go to their holes, and they would dig them up with backhoes, just underground, digging them out. And sometimes they would come up with half a tortoise. It depends on how that bucket hit them exactly in their little homes down there. But otherwise, if they get the whole tortoise, then they put it in a truck and they take it out to somewhere where they bought land for their own little habitat somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my gosh, I kind of thought they sat and waited for the turtles to come out. Let's take it away so we can take them. I'm serious.
They dig the whole thing. They do not. They're not that patient. They don't sit outside. They camp out right there just watching it. They put lettuce at the top. Here, tortoise. So no, that's what they do. They just dig up the whole thing and get a bunch of dirt and a tortoise, and then they shake it until all the dirt comes out, just like you would imagine. And they do that. But sand skinks, they test for by putting 4x4 plywood down on the ground, and they wait a while, days, and they come back out and check, and they lift the plywood, and they have certain patterns of sand movement under that plywood. They know it was a sand skink, and they'll shut your whole operation down for a while, until sometimes forever. You just can't build there. What did sand skinks do? I don't know. Like, what's their value? I don't know. I don't know the value of scrub jays. Scrub jays, they use recordings of other scrub jays mating calls or something, and they play those on the property. I'm not kidding. They play those on the property, and then they observe to see if any scrub jays come around. So I don't know what their mating season is or anything like that, but you can only do sand skinks certain times of the year. I don't know about scrub jays. I don't know if they're just all the time looking for mating noises. I don't know how that works. But there's lots of different ways that, lots of different reasons you can't build for what we call bugs and bunnies, which is environmental studies. But all that's important. But typically, if you have an infill lot, it's not going to be as common. But yeah, you guys have seen that between two houses, you'll see an empty lot and you see those gopher tortoise mounds. It happens, and yes, they are expensive to move. I don't think they let you buy their lives anymore like they used to. I don't know. Any questions? Any other questions? All right, let's look at a listing. All right, this one does have an address. It is a listing for something. 5 acres, 2.67 acres of, oh, I'm not sharing this. Sorry, hold on. There we go. I just went on the MLS and picked one at random. It's in Orange County. It is $599. Aerial lots, build your dream home on 5 acres. It seems pretty busy. Valencia College Lane. All right, let's pick a different property. Here we go. All right, so let's say we want to write a contract on this. We like this one. It's around other houses, but it may have some kind of environmental thing. It looks like it'd be a great place for gopher tortoises or any other kind of stuff. I don't know how high and dry it is, but it is around other houses, but it's not in a neighborhood, it appears to be. On the market, 422 days. Is it overpriced? Probably. Is it vacant land can take a while to sell, especially expensive vacant land. So when I look at this and I want to build a house on it, zone A2, that's some kind of agricultural zoning, means I can build a house on it. That would be an upzoning. I'm sure it's allowed. Looks like there's all neighborhoods all around. But is it overpriced? Yes. What happens? A landowner will give you something to just throw it out there on the market and see if they get it's almost like, make me move on Zillow, where people just throw stuff out there at a high price. Let's see. Vacant land is the least liquid thing you can have. It does not sell fast. Even if they lowered this to half price, it won't sell fast. People ask me all the time, should I lower my price? Should I lower? I mean, probably, but people aren't afraid. If you list something that's worth $300,000 for $500,000, if you do that to a house, nobody's going to make you an offer. Nobody's going to look at it. If you do that on vacant land, someone will offer you $300,000 for it. They don't mind. There's not going to hurt. They don't mind hurting your feelings. They don't mind, and it's not. There's no hard feelings with vacant land. You don't get a lot of lowball offers like you do with houses because people can't flip them quickly. So you don't get that nonsense offers, seller finance stuff, all that. You might get some seller finance stuff from a builder who wants to just build on it for a reasonable price, but they're not going to overpay for it because they can't make any money. So the problem with this one is it's 2 acres. If I pay $500,000 for this and I'm going to build a fancy house, first of all, according to the pictures here, I don't think I'm going to build a fancy house, right? Doesn't look like a great place for a fancy house, and I'd have to build a fancy house, or I'd have to build 5 homes here to make it worthwhile. Okay. And I don't know that I can do that. You'd have to check with it. That's where I would use my due diligence. I would go to the county and say, look, they used to have it at 700,000 and they weren't getting anything. Now they're at 500,000. So I would go to the county and say, can I build, 5 houses, 6, how many houses can I build on this was it 2 acres? How many houses can I build on this? And if I can build 4 houses, maybe it's worthwhile. But otherwise, probably not. So that's why it's sitting there. So that's just an example of a vacant land out there. So what would I do here if I want to write a contract on this? Let's say I want to go to transaction desk. It's going to do, well, you're not going to follow that, but anyway, it's easy. It's going to fill in all of the legal and all that stuff for me, and it's nicely just like anything else, just like a house at that point. Any questions? You guys always have questions on vacant land, and now you got nothing. Anne.
Yes, I have few lot in Lehigh and somewhere else, but nobody call. My price is not high. My price is good, but nobody call.
That's vacant land for you. I mean, it's not ready. I mean, it's just there. How many customers do you guys get that want vacant land who say, I really want to build my own house
Yeah.
and I have the patience and the cash and maybe I'm looking for a reason to get divorced soon so we can argue over something. But I mean, it's a process is what I'm getting at. And a lot of people fight over this process and it is it's a challenge to do that. So it's a challenge to sell them.
Is anything I need, and is there anything else I need to do besides?
Okay, so that's a great question, Ann, and this is what I recommend to you. What I recommend to you, if you cannot move vacant land, and maybe it's your vacant land, or you have a seller who's willing to spend a few dollars to try to sell it, is to get a builder in there and get yourself some estimates, get yourself some drawings, get yourself some finished products, something that they can do. Just like when you see what D.R. Horton does when they want to sell lots, they want to sell houses, they put the renderings. Get some renderings made of front elevation so people can imagine their house on there. Okay. Even get a builder maybe to give you a price and say, you know what? So now instead of an $80,000 lot, I have a $525 house that I'm selling in, it's going to be available in November. Right. So, I mean, give it something that people something you can market besides just I mean, look at this. Does that look appealing to you guys?
No.
Not at all, right? But if I put a rendering of 3 houses on here, have your own little family compound or whatever, maybe that gets something moving, right? That gets some kind of action, and that's maybe I might spend $5,000 for that if I'm the seller. Okay.
Would the builder willing to do that for you with our cost?
Pardon me? No, just get an architect or something, or you can honestly, you can just buy the plans or get them off of online, get them for free. I bet AI can draw you a beautiful front thing, or a builder. Just get something a builder's done. Just get a builder to give you plans that they've done before, a house they've built before.
Okay.
And use the rendering. Don't use the actual picture of the house. That's misrepresentation. But use a rendering of it and call it pre-construction. Okay, there's a pre-construction thing on there, and then say, you can change this house. You don't have to build this house. You can change it.
Thank you.
All right, does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, give it some. This takes a lot of imagination. Who's the buyer for this? Nobody you've ever had, probably, right? That's why it's been on the market 422 days and dropped their price $200,000. What this seller needs to do is, what I would tell this seller is to go see how many houses I can build. Give me something to sell here. How many houses can I build with this? What is my vision here? Tell me what I can do with this. Because I'm not just telling the buyer, I'm telling agents, because you're not going to show you guys. Have you ever had a client you'd show this property to and say, this looks good for you? No, right? I mean, this is for nobody. That's why it's not selling. But if you say, we think we've gone to the county and we think we can build 3 houses on this. Okay. Now we're talking. It's got utilities on site. It's got this and that. Semi-rural, but close to everything. Come build your dream home or start your agricultural business. Perfect for a horse lover. I mean, doing something. Then give me a farmhouse looking thing with a fenced in area behind it. Give me something. Yes, Daryl.
Don't buy a house in Ocala when you can buy this and have your horses.
You could be close to everything. What if you could have horses here and be close to everything, right? And honestly, I could probably only have 1 horse here because you don't want more than 1 per acre. But yes, Jay.
Sell the dream, not reality.
Yeah, I mean, but of course, I mean, you're not going to live on a vacant lot, right? You're not going to put a tent on here. But yeah, absolutely sell the dream. There's lots to sell here. It looks like it's in a great area. So what other questions do you guys have? Oh, Juan, go ahead.
Can you show the next picture? Because when I see this picture, it looks like there's 2 roads going like that. But when you show the big one,
There you go.
Okay, I get it. So there is enough road frontage. The first time you
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
it,
Oh, this
I
is
thought it was
easy
only
to.
one little piece.
This would be easy to split. Look, and there's a lot right there that I can use, for example. So
Yeah.
this is a great point. See this big house up here on lot. Somebody built a nice house here. It looks like they have some kind of tennis court or something here. And they've got lots of, right. So here's one that says, oh gosh, I don't know. This is only 2 acres. Looks like they built on 10 acres here, right? But then right over here, that's a lot on a house on a small lot. And that's a house on a small lot. I could put 3 of those here. Now I've got something to sell. And if I actually go to the county and split those up, actually get them split, which is going to cost me probably $5,000 to do that. Probably a $1,500 application fee, and then whatever else I have to do that. Now I've got 3 lots I can sell, and I can sell them individually for $150,000 each instead of $500 for the lot. Maybe I could get $500 through selling them individually. Now I have 3 different buyers, and now I've opened up. People, not many people can fork out $500,000 for land, but a lot of people can fork out $150,000, or I can get builders to give me, $600,000 homes that I can sell on here, right? If that's what I want to do. I don't know. It looks like people are happy living out here on small lots too. I mean, it is close to everything. It's not the most, beautiful, but a lot of people don't like HOAs. A lot of people don't want to, this would be perfect for them. Just ideas. I don't care if anybody ever buys this lot. It's not mine. So, but those are just all reasons to do something with it, not just sit on it. So that's the marketing aspect of it. The more you can do for people when you have something, especially something as raw as this, the more you can do for somebody, the better. The more the seller can do is to get them the dream, right? Or at least you don't even have to split it up. Just go to the county and say, the county says it can be split up. There you go. Yes, Josie.
What department should we go to for the county? So because our church is planning to buy a lot and to build a church, and how do we find out is that okay to build a church
Building department.
at a resident?
Either the county, find out if it's in okay. So lots of places have addresses that say, that says Longwood, but it's not in Longwood. It's in Seminole County, unincorporated Seminole County, because it has to have a city, because that's whose post office delivers to them. But a lot of times they'll give it an address that's not in you guys know of properties that are in Windermere, but they're not in Windermere, right? In the city limits. So go to, you just need to find out if it's in the city limits. Call whatever address it has. Let's say it says Longwood. Call Longwood and say, is this really in your city? Do you guys have jurisdiction here, or is this an unincorporated? They'll say it's an unincorporated or whatever. You can probably find on the property appraiser site. But they'll say whether it's in the city or in the county. Then you go to whomever it is. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, obviously, if it's across from City Hall, it's pretty obvious, but a lot of properties you don't know what it is, where it is. So that's who you go to. That's a great question. You go to their building department.
Okay.
And just tell them what you want to do. We want to build a church here. What can we do that? And they'll say, well, you need to get your own plans and submit your own plans. But yes, you can, the way it's zoned right now. Or they'll say you need to change the zoning from agricultural to commercial, but that's fine. You're around a bunch of other commercial properties, shouldn't be a problem. So then you'll go to the planning department and you'll ask to upgrade your zoning to commercial, whatever they need. And you'll ask them what zoning is for churches, and they'll say, and it's different everywhere. There's no, C1, C2, C3. It's all different in different places. Yes, Tammy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You need to find out what zoning and every area is different. Because when I was calling for that pharmacy, every jurisdiction has a different commercial code that you need to know about. So if you're looking around everywhere, you almost have to call all these different jurisdictions to find out what the zoning code is, or whatever that code is, to allow you to do that in that particular area.
Yep, absolutely. And you can always change it. They have what's called highest and best use, which to a county or city means that's the most tax dollars we can get. And they want you to use your land for the highest and best use. So they don't want you to have a farm on a busy corner, right? They want that to be a Walgreens or a Wawa or something, so they get more money out of it. So they want the highest and best use. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, I don't have anything else for you. I think we've covered everything on vacant land that we can, unless you have more questions. And otherwise, going great.
Ryan,
Yes.
I don't know if you can help or anybody has experience. Have you guys ever sold a land with a contract for deed? Or did we talk about that last time? You guys said no? I can remember.
A contract for deed.
Yeah, I see a lot of advertisement for land that they say $3,000 down, $200 until you die, basically. I mean, it's all over the place. But what they do is they keep title of the land until you pay it off. And, so I was wondering if anybody has ever done that type of seller finance. Because the only seller finance that I'm used to is the traditional one. You do the note and you seller finance.
We talked a little bit about this before.
Did we?
People try and do it for houses and stuff too. And it's, I think it was last week or the week before. People are trying to do it for houses and stuff, and it's way too much liability.
Okay.
I would never have a seller do that. It's way too much liability. I mean, it's easier if you have to foreclose, I guess, but you still have to remove these people from the property, depending on what they're doing. To me, it doesn't make any sense for the seller to do that. For the buyer, it makes great sense. But people are trying to do it for houses and stuff, and it's ridiculous. You get these ridiculous offers every time you put a listing on that these people want to give you. We'll give you $20,000 right now. You can get your commission out of that, and then we'll pay the seller $1,500 a month or whatever. And the place rents for $2,500 a month. Of course, who wouldn't do that deal, right? So,
for land, it's kind of like a layaway plan. You give a little bit down payment.
Great for the buyer. That's why they're offering to do it everywhere. But it's terrible for the seller.
Got it.
So one, I do have experience with the seller financing. I purchased some land through a company that does the seller financing. So it wasn't like one seller. That's just what they do. The whole company is based off of seller financing land. They make the monthly payments really low, really affordable. Like you mentioned, they continue to hold a title until you pay it off, or maybe you get a loan to pay it off that way, right? Whatever your exit strategy is. So lots of experience. It for, like Ryan mentioned, this is not something that I advertise to my buyers, but if that's the way they are trying to proceed, and maybe they have, the income is not there, or maybe they have low funds, it's kind of tricky, right? But that particular company does not have property in Florida. It's in places like Idaho, Texas, a few other, Tennessee, but none in Florida, which is a little suspect. but who knows?
What are they doing with the land, Dwayna? What are they doing with the land?
You saying the company itself?
Or anybody? So what are they doing with the land? So they're using this for raw land?
Yeah. So they're selling raw land to buyers,
okay.
Like myself or whoever wants to get it. You as the buyer, again, have to do your due diligence to see whatever it is that you plan to do with the land. So you have to inspect it.
Sure.
So some people, they buy it for all several reasons. Some people buy it to put their camper on top of it. Okay. Some people, is some of the land that they're selling is just, you can't build on it. You can do some other things with it, agriculture things with it, but you can't actually build on it. It just really depends.
That makes sense. I was thinking you throw a mobile home on there or something.
Yes.
Okay.
It just depends on where the area is and how it's zoned.
Okay, that makes sense. Tammy.
I just wonder, is that risky for the buyer? And what is your guarantee? Because you're paying money to something, you have no title to it. How do they assure you that once you pay all your money, you're going to get the land?
She's talking about regular seller financing.
Yes, it's seller
Oh,
financing.
it's seller financing. Okay.
Yes, seller financing. There is a contract in place. Like I was saying earlier, it's raw land, so they have a legal description. You know, for me, I did my due diligence by going to the county and making sure that that company actually owned the land per the county, and matching it up with the legal description. All of that was on the contract itself, so it was just straight seller financing.
Yeah, I don't mind
I
that.
mean-
You know, that's cleaner than doing a seller financing a house. I mean, they can't really do much to the land, and they might leave a trailer or something on it. So
Correct.
close.
Correct.
So they might get something out of it, or they leave crops on it, or they whatever, as long as they don't damage the property somehow, which is harder to do than a house.
But you're right,
Yeah.
Tammy. The one that I was thinking of, there is a risk to the buyer unless you record the contract like a memorandum or something, because a contract for sale is just a contract, down payment, monthly payments type of thing.
Yeah.
So there is a risk for the buyer if there's nothing recorded, because who stops the seller from reselling it, and then somebody has to get a lawyer and the whole thing. But
Correct.
the situations that I've seen are when people want to build a house like 12 months from now or 4 months from now. They grab these, they start making their payments, and then they already have the lot to build. So the agreement would be no use and no building until paid off. And I mean, if both sides do it right, I assume, because I've never done it, it would be something recorded. So nobody can squeeze, throw a fast one over anybody else. It's exactly like a layaway. When you go to Walmart, I guess, or you
Yeah.
go to Turkey and you hold on it.
Well, what you're describing, it could be done with an option, which is easy.
Or it could be described as an option, or with a lease with option to buy, or something along those lines.
Mhm.
I just heard the terminology, contract for deed, and that's why I brought it up, because I've been in all these groups. You hear a lot of stuff, but then again, you just hear a lot of stuff. We also need to do our due diligence to make sure we do it right. We don't want to take advantage of anybody, and we don't want to be taken advantage of. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. It depends on who you, like I said, in this particular company, in the seller contract, you do have a right to build on it, but it does have to be approved. So there's steps in between, actually building on it, depending on, again, it has to be zoned correctly and all of that. So, but
Awesome.
yeah, it is interesting though. Yeah.
Okay, great. That sounds perfectly legal. I mean, it sounds like it wouldn't be illegal in Florida. It sounds legal. I don't know if, who it's a great plan for it, unless it's just something to throw a camper, like you said, a camper on it or whatever, and go live there, throw an Airstream on there. All right. Any other questions before we go? All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for coming. We'll have something good for you next week. And
sorry, Ryan, I have a question. Hey, Ryan. This is Ray. How are you? Sorry about that.
Good. No
hey,
problem.
I got a quick question. Two questions. You said there's no such thing as dumb questions, right? So one of the things was how do I access the library of all the videos you have? I was looking for that, so I can kind of catch up to a lot of things I'm trying to catch up on real estate. And also, I have a friend that's looking to purchase a property. They went to Ocala to go look at some properties. And so now Wayne and I are working together with them. We're in the process of possibly working with them. So the question is more towards the BBA thing, right? So again, I'm trying to confirm with them if they sign anything. So far, they told me they have not. They haven't signed anything. But I'm at the point of, can we confirm that? Is there a way to confirm that? Do we need to show the fact that they don't need to actually have somebody if they're not sure or not?
You don't have to confirm it. They are grown people.
I agree.
And no, they are, and they are legally responsible to pay you if they buy anything. If they sign one with me and with Tammy and with Daryl and Juan and you, they have to pay all of us if they close something. They owe all of us. Okay. So you go take they're grown-ups. If they tell you they didn't sign something with somebody, it's their fault if they did, if they're lying. Okay. They still have to pay you. As far as the other thing, it was on your welcome email. You joined not long ago, so it's on your welcome email. Our YouTube channel is a link. on your Welcome to FRI. If you don't have that, just contact Solange or Michelle, and they'll get you.
Okay.
They'll get you the link. But it was on your welcome email.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, if Jay's got to go, Jay's just put in chat, he's got to go. So if Jay's got to go, we're all going to go. And I appreciate everybody for coming in. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. We'll have something awesome for you. Bye, everybody.